Inside pretty much all the tech we use every single day, our phones, our laptops, even our cars, there's a new kind of threat lurking. So today, we're going to dive into a brand new class of fire and the really clever science that's been designed to fight it.
So let's just start with a really simple question. Why is a fire from a lithium-ion battery so different from, say, a regular old wood fire? I mean, fire's fire, right? Well, not exactly. The answer really gets to the heart of a huge shift in fire science. It's not just about what's on fire, but how it's burning.
And that really brings us to our first point here. We're dealing with a totally new kind of fire. Look, the batteries that power our world are amazing, they're incredibly efficient, but when they go wrong, they pose a very unique and, frankly, a growing danger.
Okay, so here's the real problem. You can't just grab a standard fire extinguisher, give it a quick spray, and walk away thinking the job is done. Not with these. Because these battery fires, they create their own oxygen and this intense, self-sustaining heat. That means they can just reignite over and over long after you thought you put them out. It makes them incredibly hard to stop for good.
So, this growing problem, it absolutely demanded an official response. And that leads us to Section 2, Introducing Fire Class L. This is how the world is finally, formally putting a name to this unique threat.
And here it is. This is the big one. The International Organization for Standardization is rolling out Class L in its upcoming 2026 guidelines. Think about that. A brand new fire classification created specifically for fires involving lithium-ion batteries. That is a huge deal for standardizing how we tackle this hazard globally.
Right, so if you have a new class of fire, you're going to need a new class of tool to fight it, which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the AVD solution. And just to be clear, this is not just another fire extinguisher. It's a purpose-built agent for a very, very specific problem.
So what on earth is AVD? Well, the name actually tells you pretty much everything you need to know. It stands for aqueous vermiculite dispersion. Aqueous just means it's water-based. Vermiculite is a special kind of natural mineral. And dispersion, well, that's just how they're mixed together. It's a seriously specialized formula.
Now, this is a super important point. AVD is not designed to replace that good old ABC extinguisher you have in your kitchen. No way. This is a high-specialty agent designed only for severe risks, like these crazy high-heat battery fires where, honestly, traditional extinguishers might not work or could even make things worse.
So how does this stuff actually work? This is where the science gets really, really cool. Section 4, Cool, Smother, and Contain. Let's break down the mechanics of this incredibly smart solution.
So AVD's secret sauce is its dual-action attack. First, you have the aqueous part, the water. It does what water does best. It sucks up a massive amount of heat, cooling everything down fast. But at the exact same time, the vermiculite mineral uses that intense heat to its advantage. It expands and forms this insulating blanket that literally smothers the fire, cutting off its oxygen supply. It's a brilliant 1-2 punch.
I absolutely love this description. When those tiny little particles of vermiculite hit the fire's intense heat, they exfoliate, which is a fancy way of saying they pop like popcorn. They expand up to 30 times their original size, 30 times, and they turn into these tiny, lightweight, accordion-like flakes.
And what's the result of all that popping? Well, this massive expansion creates this stable, almost crust-like blanket. Now, we're not talking about a temporary foam here. This is a solid, insulating barrier that physically separates the battery from the oxygen in the air, smothering the fire and, this is the key part, helping to prevent it from ever reigniting.
So you might be thinking, how do you get a solid mineral and a liquid to spray out of the same nozzle at the same time? That's where the dispersion part comes in. The best way to think about it is like mud in a river. The little vermiculite particles are just suspended in the water. They're not dissolved. This creates a single slurry that lets you deliver both the cooling water and the smothering mineral all at once.
Okay, let's put this all together and see it in action. Section 5, AVD in action. Let's just visualize what happens, step by step, when you actually spray this stuff on a burning lithium-ion battery. So here's how it plays out. First, the AVD slurry hits the fire. Right away, the water starts its cooling mission, attacking that intense heat. Then, almost at the same instant, that very same heat triggers the vermiculite particles to pop and expand. And finally, all those expanded flakes link up, forming that solid, airtight crust that smothers the flames and contains the fire. It's just a beautifully engineered process.
So to put it in a nutshell, AVD is basically an engineered mud. It's the smart slurry that uses water for cooling and vermiculite to build an instant, fireproof, almost ceramic-like blanket right on top of the fire. It cools and smothers in one single elegant move.
All right, so let's do a quick recap. If you remember just a few things from all this, make it these. 1. Lithium-ion battery fires are a totally unique risk. 2. The new Class L fire classification is the world officially recognizing that risk. 3. AV-DEAD is the specialized tool built to fight these specific fires. And 4. It works with that incredible 1-2 punch of cooling with water and smothering with that vermiculite crust.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. You know, we have a solution for today's battery fires, but as our world gets more and more electric, with all sorts of new battery technologies just around the corner, what's the next frontier in fire safety?